Hey folks, Corey here with Fist and Stone Wargaming. Welcome to the Stone Path. In this video, I'll share with you how I base heavy weapons teams with a few extra details. The larger size of weapons teams bases allows us the opportunity to get a little creative as modelers. If you plan ahead a little bit, you can lay out a prepared position like I have for some of my Astra Militarum heavy weapon teams. You can almost get to the point of creating a mini diorama on a base. If you haven't taken the opportunity to see my video on sandbags, please check it out now. The rest of this video is going to pick up right where that video left off. So here's the base we're working on in the sandbags video. I've primed it now with Corax white spray because the next step is going to be application of contrast paint. I'm going to use Aggaros Dunes and a medium shade brush, and we're going to get a very generous helping and liberally apply this across the model. Just right across the sandbags. You see the contrast paint lends itself very nicely to this application. It gives a good stain on the entire body of the sandbag and flows nicely into the recesses. It's important to remember as you're working with this contrast paint that you go back and soak up some of the pools that have formed and then just redistribute it across the miniature as you go. This holds for both the bases and your regular miniature painting. You see that's what I'm doing here. Going back to where I started and where some pools have formed, soaking it up with a largely empty brush, and then coming back and applying it to more of the model. After drying out for about half an hour, 45 minutes, we're ready to take the next step, which is going to be some highlighting using dry brushing. I'm going to do a double dry brush here. I'm going to use Ushabti Bone to kind of show a faded out look for the sandbags. And then I'm going to use Mechanicus standard gray because I'm modeling Armageddon's ash wastes to give it kind of a gray feel. Of course, using a medium dry brush, good coverage. Grab your paper towel. And here I've loaded up with Ushabti Bone and then working most of the paint off. And begin lightly going across the sandbags. It's important when dry brushing to go light, and you can press harder as you go, add more passes until you get the desired effect. You see how quickly this can turn the darker yellowy tone to a more washed out, faded, brighter tone by pressing harder with the brush. Now that I've finished with the Ushabti Bone, I'm going to move right on to the Mechanicus standard gray to get that ashen look. Working it off on the paper towel. You can see this a little bit better on the paper towel now. The same process. Start lightly and build the effect up as you go. It's all about how you want it to look. Making more passes will build up a more gray effect. Keeping it very light will make this effect a lot more subtle. I've got it to a point now where I'm happy with it. So now on to the models. I finished these guys on separate bases. They're all painted up and ready to go. Now I just got to figure out how I want them to look when they're situated on the weapons team space. Since these Steel Legion models came out about 20 years ago, they were in a slaughter base, and they actually came with this 25mm base. This is how they were packaged. So putting them on the heavy weapons team base is a bit of a change from how they were originally designed. Just use some super glue here, so this should be easy to pry off the base. It'll come right off, and then use the cutters to just snip off the tab. Once that's off, we'll use a hobby knife just to clean up the very bottom. You don't really need a file here in this case, but it will just clean off and flatten out the surface. One last test fit, just to make sure we have the right orientation and know how we want to have our guys secured on the base. I'm just going to use super glue here. Some folks may want to pin these, but because they are pewter models. but I'm just happy with the super glue. It seems to hold fine for me. The nice thing about it too is it gives you a little bit of working time, not a ton if you don't use a zip kicker or something like that. So you can get them perfectly positioned while just before the super glue cures. And with the super glue dry, they're now on the base, and we're ready to finish it off. To finish the base off, I use the same techniques I used in the Ashen Desert base video, since these guys are going along with my Steel Legion army. I'll put a link in the description to that video, and also throw a card up on the screen if you want to check that one out. And there's the finished heavy weapons team. And along with the rest of the squad, you can see here how the little mini diorama of the heavy weapons team just adds a little bit more to that base. Well, I hope there was something in that video that you found useful for your future hobby projects. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like down below. Also, please subscribe. Click the little bell icon for notifications on future videos that I post. If you're interested in checking out some more videos right now, click on one of the links that's on the screen. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Stone Path.